So we've talked about the new polarization in Louisiana with Republicans and Democrats. It's kind of mimicking the national government. But in the past, even when there have been Republican governors, Dave Train, first Republican governor in the modern era,
Mike Foster.
Under these governors, while there were majority Democrat legislatures, they still got their appointee to be
They did.
the chairman, the Speaker of the House or the President of the Senate, regardless of party affiliation. So it's not just that, the governor is a Democrat and the legislature are Republican.
It's not. I think it's more too. I think you do have to consider the term limit situation. Because you're getting a different type of candidate. You're getting a candidate who, let's say you're in your third term and I'm not running for re-election, I can't. You're going to be much more independent. And I think we're just feeling the effects of term limits in the legislature. They've been around for what, about 15 years now, 20 years. But you're just now feeling the effects of people who had been there 20, 30 years in either the House or the Senate or both, going back and forth. You start seeing that come to fruition, and you're getting a more independent candidate who has evolved. Because when you first get there, you're bright-eyed, you have your ideals, you're trying to stick to them, and then in your last term, you're not worried about getting reelected. So if you're disagreeing with the governor, that's okay. Because you're not having to worry about getting reelected and what the politics of it is. And so I think that that's a part of the evolution of the type of candidate that you're getting, or the type of legislator that you're getting now. And that's a good thing. I think there's good and bad as a result of term limits, and that's a good thing. You're having a more independent type of legislator than you would have had 10, 15, 20 years ago.
That's real interesting because we've heard prior to 2016 when term limits were implemented and when term limits started affecting legislators, and people saw the power of the governor in Louisiana as limitless, that the governor would only become stronger because of term limits.
That's right.
But your position is that
it's weakened it.
You think the opposite.
I think the complete opposite. I think it's weakened it. I think, because you have to remember, politics is a lot about relationships. And so, a lot of your governors come from the House or the Senate. And if you had been in the House, let's say 20 years, and you served with a person for 15, 20, 25 years who got elected governor, well, somewhere along that time period, you would have done a favor, or you would have helped him out on a vote, or you would have established a camaraderie and a friendship and a loyalty, despite what party you're in. I mean, look, some of the best friends I have as a legislator are Democrats. We may not agree on philosophical issues, political issues, but we're friends, on a personal level. Think about if you've been working with someone for 20 to 25 years, you've developed a relationship with that person. And despite what party you're in, if you have that type of relationship with a person, you're going to be much more able to sway them in a position that you might want them to take. And I think that part of term limits has definitely weakened the administration. Some people think, it's what I think, because I think you don't have the relationship building. Governor's only going to be there 8 years, and a legislator's only going to be there 12, bottom line. You're not going to be able to establish the relationship that someone who might have worked 20 or 30 years together, which is the process you had before.
So chalk Sherman Mack up for proponent of term limits?
Well, I've given you the pros of it. The cons of it is this: as a legislator, I can only give you my example. When the first 2 years I was there, I was very fortunate. I was able to get into a good relationship with the Department of Transportation. One of the things I wanted to do was put shoulders on Highway 190 and repave it, and we were able to get there relatively quickly. There have been other issues that I wanted to do that didn't happen as quickly, because you have to learn the process. You have to learn who to talk to. You have to know who to call. You have to know how to do this bill, how to draft it, what you should put in a bill to make sure that when it's effectuated. Those are all things that you're just going to learn from experience. Those are things. It's kind of like practicing law. When you go to law school, you learn the law, but you don't know how to practice it until you do it. Being a legislator is the same way. You know, you can do all the things you need to do to get elected to the legislature. You can read all the books you want to read and how people want to do it. But until you actually get in there and try to get things done, you don't know what it's like. So it takes 2, 3, even for some people, I think their entire first term to really learn how the process works, how to get different things through, whether you want a road paved, or you want a new bridge, or you want to build a new junior college in your district, or you want to do something like that. So I think in the age of term limits, really when you're in your third term and you're just getting to where, look, I know this constituent called me with an issue, I know exactly what to do now. And you can help that constituent probably within a day. Whereas, you know, and then you can't run again. And so I think that part of it is a con, you know, because I think the longer you're there, the more of an effective legislator you are, because you learn you know what to do. You learn the process. You get more educated. You evolve as a legislator. And so I think that part of it is unfortunate. And two, you know, there's an argument to be made that, you know, you have term limits every 4 years. You know, if you're not doing a good job, then they can always not elect you. And so, but the
Incumbency is strong.
but there's a flip side of that, and I was about to say incumbency is very strong. I have run as a challenger, I run as in an open seat, and I run as an incumbent. And let me tell you something, it is, anybody who tells you any different is not telling you the truth. It is much easier to run as an incumbent. There's no question.